What is up, guys? Welcome back to a brand new video, and today, as you guys know, on the channel we cover, not only do we cover, should I say, various DC TV shows and news updates, but also, of course, the DC movie news. And with the most recent productions, I've been mostly making updates on, the Flash movie, which is still yet to come out, Black Adam, but also Batgirl. And oh man, has there been a bit of news as of late in this department in terms of, we made a video not so long ago on the delays, but ever since then, it seems more and more things are coming out, and I had a bit of hesitancy with regards to the whole delay reason being attributed to every single movie being that of VFX, and we'll get into that specifically in a little bit. And a lot of you have been asking me, and I'm wondering about my thoughts on this. Is the Flash movie in a lot of trouble? What does this mean for the future of the DCEU Flash? And I know, by the way, I'm quite late with this in terms of offering my take on it, but given another very recent report coming from the rollingstone.com shining slightly a bit more detail on Ezra Miller's situation, I just thought now I would give my take, how this affects the movie and everything like that. And also just considering now that the Batgirl movie that you may know is coming to HBO Max, and these two are kind of intertwined in a way due to the impact the Flash movie seemingly has on a Batgirl movie release date because of continuity. Let's properly dig into this now, but first of all, we have to wind back the clocks a little bit. Okay, excuse the cringy impression there. We know that a lot of the DC movies got delayed due to VFX reasons. I 100% believe that for some of them. Like, I completely believe with James Wan's post on Instagram and whatnot that he has not only wanted that, but he's thankful for that. He even expressed how I only just finished shooting the movie at X time, like, how are we gonna deal with these VFX kind of thing. However, in my last video that you may be seeing the thumbnail on screen right now, I wasn't fully convinced that every single reason for VFX is to be put on every single movie. I'm sure they can all benefit from it, and I'm not really a conspiracy guy when it comes to movies. I rather actually wait for solid evidence. That's not to say I always believe what studios say up front in terms of publicity, but, considering if you put a little freaking advertisement out for this movie is coming in 2022, this movie, Black Adam, The Flash, and everything like that in the month of February, and only like a few weeks later, push them all back. Well, not all of them back, one of them forward, like Shazam, Fury of the Gods, but, like Flash, November to June 2023. It's a bit like, do you really expect everyone to believe that, yes, you've made that decision to delay the movie, but you didn't have any internal communication about the VFX needing more time on every single movie before you put that out? Do you see where I'm going there? It just did jar quite a lot of people to put it in that way, at least. Especially when you take into account that the Flash moving from November, when it was originally, I believe, slated for June 3rd, 2022, then November, all the way now to June 2023, that the Batgirl movie hasn't been announced whether or not it was getting pushed back, despite all of those movie announcement date changes. So, this is such a weird thing that I'm trying to digest now as well, and people ask me about this, and I'm just a bit of two minds about it, because there's a couple of things that I wouldn't be surprised if Warner Brothers went this way or that way with it. Just simply because, not only have they not unveiled what they are going to do with the Batgirl movie release date thing, but I mean, continuity-wise, as it was going to be, and, there's a lot of supporting evidence for this, it should be coming after the Flash movie, as the Flash movie facilitates Michael Keaton's appearance in the DCEU from there on out. Quite simply, that is what it is. Hence why we have Batfleck's Commissioner Gordon, played by J.K. Simmons, in the Batgirl movie with the new Batman, Michael Keaton. I think we can all add 1 + 1 there equals the change. Flashpoint, that was going to come out this year. Batgirl was also going to come out afterwards. That makes sense. So as a result, you'd think that the Batgirl movie can't come out before the Flash movie, now in June 23rd, 2023. But it's kind of puzzling as to why they haven't announced anything regarding that release date yet. But maybe the delay, and this is where we're going to get into all of the thicker bush of all of this, mess, if you will, and recent happenings is causing quite a bit of mess here that they're wondering if they can do anything to work out something sooner, dare I say it. Although I just don't see how or what story beat they'd come up with if they were to choose to release it before the Flash movie. The thing is, and the reason why I'm saying that and entertaining that conversation is because if they release it after the Flash movie, after June 23rd, 2023, that is quite a big delay, a substantial one. Considering now that Flash isn't due till June 2023, Batgirl will be pushed back till at least a couple of months after that, and it was slated to release sometime this year. It hadn't had a firm release date, but I think it was expected around December 2022. You could argue maybe it was going to get pushed back considering it only just wrapped filming, but you know what I mean. Now the fact that it would be way beyond June next year, you have to think, are Warner Brothers thinking of maybe putting it out before the Flash movie now? But how would that work with the Keaton continuity change of Batman and J.K. Simmons still being the new Batman's Gordon and everything like that? And yet again, the reason why this is even being thought about is because why didn't they include Batgirl in all of those movie changes? It's why? But more onto the Flash side of things with Ezra and just the movie in general with its release date and the recent movie delays, the broad sense of it all. I'm not saying that the Flash movie wouldn't have been delayed at all, but to put it back as far as it has been put back, that's where it's a bit just in terms of speaking strictly VFX. It's likely due to the other bits and pieces going on, which is where some of the recent reports come in. And the latest update coming out of this with Rolling Stone, and to be very, very clear here, this article came out after the arrest, but it goes into some of the backstory of exploring what is going on with Ezra Miller, even detailing issues that Ezra Miller has been dealing with during even the shoot of the Flash movie. So this isn't me saying, before anyone gets confused, the movie got delayed because of the arrest. No, that makes no sense because the arrest happened after the delays were announced. Do you know what I mean? I'm saying that there was a lot of internal stuff that Warner Brothers and DC were aware of with Ezra Miller's struggles way before this arrest even happened. Did you see what I'm saying? I just need to make that clear because some people might be like, oh, no, how does that make sense? You're just making this up, la-di-da-da. It is just all down to VFX. I really don't think so. We're going to get into maybe why that might not be the entire case, albeit that I'm sure the movie will benefit from a little bit more polish from the move to June 23rd, 2023. Now, this most recent update is as follows from the Rolling Stone. On March 30th, Warner Bros. And DC executives held an emergency impromptu meeting to discuss Ezra Miller's future with the studio following the Flash star's recent arrest for disorderly conduct and harassment. According to a knowledgeable source, the consensus in the room was to hit pause on any future projects involving Miller, including possible appearances in the DC Extended Universe. Now, we will get into the talk of recasting, silently walking away after the movie's out. Will they recast after their first solo Flash movie is out? All of that talk eventually in this video. There's just a lot of parts and pieces that we need to address. But of course, that most recent update I read with regards to them hitting pause and stuff is due to the arrest, and the Rolling Stone summarizes what happened there. And I'm including this just in case, anyone isn't fully aware of every single detail. So according to the March 28th police report, Miller became agitated after patrons at a Hawaii bar began singing karaoke. Miller shouted obscenities and grabbed the microphone from a 23-year-old woman as she was singing and allegedly lunged at a 32-year-old man playing darts. The 29-year-old movie star was arrested and charged on both accounts and was released on $500 bail. The incident took place at Margarita Village in Hilo, Hawaii, the day before Miller's Fantastic Beasts: The Secrets of Dumbledore castmates were celebrating that film's world premiere in London. Even more troubling, a local couple filed a temporary restraining order against Miller on March 29th. The couple claimed that after Miller's arrest, Miller burst into their bedroom and threatened them, with Miller saying to the man, "I will bury you and your slut wife." According to the report, the petition also alleges that Miller stole the woman's passport and the man's wallet, which included a social security card, driver's license, and bank cards. A judge granted a TRO the following day. The judge is expected to make a decision on whether or not to extend the the restraining order by the end of the month. Now, clearly at this point, especially considering the report that comes from a knowledgeable source, supposedly, it comes at no surprise that the consensus in the room for now for Warner Brothers and DC was to hit pause on any future projects with Ezra. And I think it's pretty needless to say that Ezra Miller is struggling from some kind of mental health issues that they're going through, perhaps influenced maybe by, and this is speculation, alcohol in the karaoke bar. I don't know. You could argue, some people are saying, what if they're struggling with substance or something like that? That's just all speculative at the end of the day. Mental health in of itself, without any of those influences that I just mentioned, can still be a lot in of itself, like unfathomably so. But regardless, these aren't the actions of a sound mind. And at the end of the day, this, you know, not that you can ever condone any of these actions, but you have to think, man, like, what is going on with Ezra for them to basically go to this extent of things with public behavior? And please, you know, regardless of whatever, be respectful in the comments. Like, this isn't really a factor of entertainment or anything like that. It should be regarded as a very, very serious matter. Even though the actions, you know, you can't condone it, it's still to be looked at like, damn, this is the actions of somebody going through something, and it should be spoken about accordingly. But this is where we get to some of the details regarding some of the issues that Ezra was experiencing during the filming on set for The Flash. Now, the Rolling Stone says, one insider says Miller had frequent meltdowns during production last year on The Flash. While the insider stresses there was no yelling or violent outbursts, they described Miller as losing it. Ezra would get a thought in their head and say, I don't know what I'm doing, the insider tells Rolling Stone. Now, that's where the whole talk comes around with what I was saying earlier, with regards to that the studio was very, very extremely aware, would have to have been aware, you know, the director, Andy Muschietti, and cast and whatever, right? That the crew, like that Ezra was going through, well, as this insider says, frequent meltdowns. They describe Miller as losing it. This probably has some contribution as to why the movie got delayed. Again, I just couldn't really fathom as VFX for every single movie. Again, Aquaman probably needed it. I'm not saying other movies won't benefit from it, including the Flash movie, but they probably thought that as a result of what is going on here, where do you want to talk about Fantastic Beasts? Or even the Flash movie that was due this year. Ezra is hardly in a place to do press tours for those movies, even though I don't think they were expected to do anything like that for Fantastic Beasts. But even come the release date of the Flash movie, with everything going on, even though this was before the arrest, you know, frequent meltdowns on the Flash set, according to this source, and described as losing it. I don't think, as a result, that Warner Brothers would want to risk, you know, something like that on someone they feel like they couldn't necessarily predict how they were going to carry themselves in something like, let's say, a press tour, due to ongoing issues with their own mental health up until present day. Do you see what I mean there? That we've only got like two very minuscule handful of words comments there that give you like a whole potential broad sense of what could have been going on, if you know what I mean. So like, imagine what they were aware of. Imagine what is really going on. And you can think, well, maybe we should push back the movie a little bit more. It probably would have been delayed a bit anyway, but maybe till June, just so we can kind of figure this out, try and iron out some creases to an extent. But then unfortunately, anyway, the arrest happened. I'm not saying again that this is due to the arrest. I'm saying that I do think that they were trying to acknowledge what was going on with Ezra and whatever struggles they were going through that caused these frequent meltdowns or whatever, with a bit of reasoning into the delay of the Flash movie. But here's the thing, there's one thing like doing that and then like trying to help Ezra, trying to see what was going on after that. Obviously, there's still potentially a really bright future ahead for another movie, more appearances within the DC cinematic universe. But then the arrest happened, and then, like, after that, there was even more, like, considering after the bail, Ezra then, like, after the night before in the karaoke bar, it then, like, escalated even further. Like, that's needless to say. So that's where it goes from, okay, Warner Brothers was already aware of something. They, as per the quote, were aware of the frequent meltdowns, etc., etc., and that could have still been in the pipeline for some kind of future, but now with the recent events, they've put a pause on things. This is where we get into, okay, what do they do now? What do they do with handling the publicity surrounding that? What do they do with their character of the Flash in terms of casting? Like, these are all very big questions that I know I keep repeating it here. Yes, they were aware of a certain extent of struggle that was clearly going on the set of The Flash, but that could have still been Ezra's future, very clearly. But then, the arrest happens, now that's just like, okay, there was one way with us trying to work through that, but now do we work through this? Now, this is where things are at currently. Side note, any rumors that you may have been hearing about all the Flash movie needing reshoots now, it really most likely, highly likely not true. And anyone saying now that they've got a CGI Ezra's face, no, that's just not gonna happen, nor probably a recast. I would be completely flabbergasted if it was announced that, hey, yeah, let's reshoot all the scenes where Ezra's Barry interacted with other actors. In my opinion, that is not gonna happen. And with that said, ladies and gentlemen, what about Warner Brothers addressing this? Because I know a lot of people are talking about that. And again, I'm just not sure that that is going to happen, and here's why. So I think Warner Brothers probably want to let this blow over. Despite the serious things that have happened, I'm not condoning these actions. Again, nobody can, but there is an obvious nuance of mental health here. Ultimately, at the bottom line, I think this is the understanding, at least that I'm going with for now, is that I think from Warner Brothers' perspective, to address this and put the face of their lead of the Flash movie up in discussion with these events would only be, quite simply, in a very kind of blunt way of putting it, damaging to the movie. It's not really, and to be very candid here, despite everything that's happened, a wise decision from a publicity angle. No matter how you may personally feel about what's been done by Ezra. Also, I think with regards to maybe what WB may be thinking in terms of what I like to say, the Gen Pop, the general audience members who go see movies every day kind of thing. Sure, some may have heard about this, but they're probably thinking by the time, and this is probably true to an extent, I'm not gonna lie, that lots of mums and dads and teenagers will still go and see this movie, despite what's been in the news the past couple of weeks. So to address this situation from the publicity side of things, it will just, well, inflame it. And you either have the option to inflame something or just kind of not even address it at all. And I think in that option, whether you agree or disagree with it, with an impending, very expensive movie that's been shot now that is coming their way, they're probably going to choose not to inflame it. But what about if we cast our minds down the line? Like, let's look at the projection of the future with what's happened now to around the time of the movie's release and the future beyond that in the DCEU for Ezra and the character of the Flash. So even with this hopefully being resolved, and I really do hope that Ezra gets the help they need to work through the issues that has just led them to having these incidents, the Flash's future, to put it again bluntly and candidly here, isn't looking so bright, especially with the most recent update given the pause on any future projects involving Miller. So the question is, should there be a recasting? I think no matter what way you look at this, it's just this big, tremendous mess. You have one of your stars getting arrested. This is all on top of the incident that happened a couple of years ago as well, with the video caught of Ezra, and if you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. And then you have Ezra Miller's The Flash first solo movie coming out, and then what? You just recast The Flash after your multi-million-dollar investment of their first movie? It's just crazy to imagine. It's kind of but not but in a way, here's Man of Steel, the first Superman movie in this universe. After it comes out, hey, let's recast Henry Cavill. It's kind of not like that because, yes, Ezra Miller's Flash has been seen here and there, but, in the way of, the first solo movie for The Flash, it's kind of like that in a certain way of speaking, if you know what I mean. And that is kind of a strange thing, and it just makes me think, man, the DCEU has the shittiest luck. But the thing is, and this needs to be brought up, Warner Brothers / DC have come down on other actors before, but the difference here is that this is a situation in where they have a huge investment with a movie that is not only going to be popular, but the Flash movie is setting a new precedent for the cinematic universe, DCEU, from here on out. I mean, just look at what it's doing to Batgirl. New Keaton Batman. J.K. Simmons was Batfleck's Commissioner Gordon. Now in this new universe with a new Batman. So given that huge impending investment with that movie that is still yet to come out, they're very likely not going to get rid of Ezra Miller before then. So is it more of a situation of parting ways after the movie releases next year? Or do you think by then, publicity-wise, maybe they're hoping that not only will Ezra's personal issues be resolved, but also maybe everyone has perhaps forgotten about it by then, and it's enough for them to continue with the Flash's future appearances without a recasting? All of these questions, at the end of the day, will remain uncertain for quite a long time, at least until around about the time of the movie's release, probably very much so likely afterwards by a month or two. Because either way, they are not going to, again, I'll hold my hands up if I'm wrong, but it doesn't make any sense publicity-wise to do this the other way, but I will say for now that they are not going to say before June 23rd, 2023, the Flash film's movie release date, that Ezra Miller has left the role of the Flash before the first bloody Flash movie comes out. Like, do you know what I mean? And does the Batgirl movie now release before the Flash movie because of this substantial delay? But then, what are they going to do chronologically, continuity-wise, to fix that weird-ass, hey, why is there a Batman here with the same commissioner who was in the previous DCU? Yeah, what's going on there? Do you guys really think they would do that? And just be like, just enjoy it anyway? Or do you think that they have to release it after the Flash movie, given that those changes are intended to be changes due to the repercussions of the Flashpoint movie? So many questions, so little answers for now. But for now, I'll have to say, or at least assume for now, that they are going to delay the Batgirl movie. But it really, really intrigues me as to why they didn't include Batgirl in the lineup of delays and date changes for movies that we had a little while back, because they could have done that. And lastly, as for Ezra Miller, I'm kind of split on whether WB will be parting ways with them after the movie's release. Don't forget that, hell, it's not even summer or June here right now. And this movie, the Flash movie, is now not coming out till June next year. So maybe, just maybe, after a lot of mental clarity has been achieved here and the wind has blown over, they're hoping to slowly ease their way back into future projects and installments with Ezra's Barry Allen. Maybe that is on the table, but the recent rumor and report of, the pause is to kind of appease the situation for now. And I think it's a legitimate decision. But, when the time comes, as I just said, maybe they will go back to the relationship. But also, at the same time, I just wouldn't be surprised if they didn't part ways, especially that is provided no further things happen with Ezra Miller, in the way they have the past few weeks in the next year or so. But then again, guys, maybe they will. But this is where I turn the question over to you. If they don't, is that fair? Do you think that's fair? Even given the context of whatever struggles Ezra is going through. Do you think that it's just not fair given the fact that various other actors have had repercussions for various other issues? That's not me saying any kind of statement. That's me genuinely asking your opinion there. Like, what do you feel is fair? What do you think of this situation? What do you think should happen? What do you think is going to happen? What do you want to happen regardless of what you think is going to happen? I could ask a billion more different variations of that question. But that's it for now. I think that's it for now. I know this has been a bit of a ramble, but I wanted to kind of get into every facet I could. It's a shame in every manner of speaking. I want Ezra Miller to I could only imagine what struggle they're going through. Like, if I was Ezra and I was famous and I had a celebrity of that extent and I was the Flash, would I really do that? Like, imagine going into a karaoke bar and doing these things, and you wouldn't be of sound mind. So I hope that whatever needs to be done for Ezra gets done, and I really hope it doesn't get worse, because these things can be a slippery slope. Like, I dread to read an article that says something worse, because sometimes these things do happen. But at the same time, in the character universe, this is the thing we're all passionate about. What should be going on there? Like, what will be going on? Like, it's a very mind-boggling thing, and it's a tremendous mess, as I said, for WB to kind of internally think about here. So either way, guys, let me know your thoughts, your feelings, your just everything. What do you think of the Batgirl stuff as well? I touched upon, you know, especially now that it is finished filming. Like the video, guys. If you want to see more discussions like this, do subscribe. Check out some of my other recent videos, such as my Moon Knight review and things like that. Follow me on Twitter. I have an Instagram. I have a Discord server. All of that is linked in the description down below. But thank you so much for watching. I hope you all have a lovely rest of your day, and I'll see you people of the DC Cinematic Universe in the next video. Goodbye.